I'm Dr. Rita McGuire. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for Wakana for Life. I'm an obstetrician gynecologist in Chicago and excited to be here filming live from Waikiki, Hawaii at the NMA conference. And I'm excited to talk about what I'm presenting tomorrow to the obstetrician gynecologist here in Hawaii, and that's cannabis and the use in the OB-GYN patient.
Okay, doctor, so we're talking about cannabis, CBD. Can you explain the differences first between cannabis, CBD, and your everyday sticky icky weed that people, may get on the street? Is there a difference? What is the difference?
Absolutely, yes. So let's start with cannabis. Cannabis is the family which has two species. One species is the hemp and the other species is the marijuana. Now the hemp species is the non-psychoactive part of the plant, meaning that it has a high level of CBD or cannabidiol and a very low level of THC, which is tetrahydrocannabinol, as we know as THC. The other species is the marijuana part, and that's high in THC and very low in CBD. Now what we talk about, our traditional understanding of weed is very different from what we are going to be speaking about today. Things that we find in our community off the street is many times laced with synthetic fentanyl, rat poison, a lot of other additives, but the organic regulated medical marijuana that you find in a medical marijuana dispensary versus CBD that is extracted from the hemp plant, the non-psychoactive part, are three different distinctive important things that you should understand about cannabis. So my role is to help physicians here at the NMA to get on the other side of knowledge as it relates to the medicinal benefits of cannabis.
Okay. Can you talk about some of the true medicinal benefits?
So the cannabis plant has been used medicinally since 2737 BC. It's been used for childbirth pain, for migraines, for chronic pain, for nausea and vomiting. And it wasn't until 1964, a scientist, he was an Israeli scientist, he's still living, Raphael Mechoulam, he discovered THC. And in discovering THC and how it actually worked in the brain and caused the high, he discovered something called the endocannabinoid system. And the endocannabinoid system is what is important to understand on how the cannabinoids that are produced by the plant, cannabinoids that are produced endogenously from our body, and those receptors work to keep our body in homeostasis. And what we find is when our body is out of balance, when those endogenous cannabinoids that our body produces, like anandamide and 2-AG, when those are deficient, that's when disease entities occur. That's when insomnia, anxiety, arthritis, inflammation, all of these things that we see as chronic illnesses today are actually deficiency in the endocannabinoid system. And so this is something that they didn't teach us in medical school. In the last 2.5 years, I've researched the plant. I've studied the plant extensively. I've used cannabis in my practice for the last 2.5 years. And what you're finding is that this plant has been used medicinally for centuries. But when prohibition happened in the early 1930s, that's when we really lost its use medicinally as well as industrially to our everyday lives.
Okay. So how would a pregnant woman go about using this for some of those symptoms that you mentioned earlier?
Well, our College of American, College of OB-GYN, we have several publications that don't endorse the use of marijuana. But what we do find in the inner city where I practice is many patients are using cannabis that is found and bought on the street. Mm-hmm. And when we see those patients using that type of cannabis, we see issues. As in any person that would use cannabis that is from an unregulated source. I mean, simply you don't know what you're getting when you purchase cannabis from Pookie down the street, right? You may again be getting synthetic fentanyl, which can kill you, rat poison, and other fillers. So what happened is that there was a study that was done in 1985, and it was a study that followed women in Jamaica that used ganja, that used cannabis. And what that study showed is that those women that use cannabis every single day for morning sickness or discomfort, they followed those children that were born to those moms. And what they found is those children did better cognitively as well as motor skills versus the women that didn't smoke ganja every day during their pregnancy. So these studies, unfortunately, are not studies that are done by the FDA or regulated by the FDA, because cannabis on a federal level is illegal. So we don't see the research that we need to see, but anecdotal studies do show that cannabis to date has killed no one. Okay, we're not talking about the cannabis found on the street, but we're talking about organically grown, regulated cannabis to date has had 0 deaths. That is important to know, because now we see and face with the opioid epidemic, we're seeing 130 people die every day from opioids like Vicodin and Percocet and methadone, but we've not seen 1 death from cannabis. And that's because of the receptors, again, in the part of the brain, the medulla part of the brain that regulate the respiratory centers, are activated when someone takes too much fentanyl or Vicodin. Those receptors are not found in the brain, the medulla part, when one takes in too much cannabis. You take in too much cannabis, the worst thing that can happen to you is that you'll get the munchies or you go to sleep. Again, we're talking about organically grown cannabis, cannabis that's regulated in dispensaries. We're not speaking about cannabis that you may find, again, on the black market.
So, as far as we'll talk about your company as well, why is it important for African Americans to get involved in the business of cannabis?
So we are the only minority female-owned CBD company in Illinois. For African American, launched our company called Wakana, not Wakanda, but Wakana. Wakana is a company that helps the average American to get into the cannabis space without having to have $1 million. It's also important to know that 86% of the arrests in Chicago for possession of cannabis is African American males. So it's the African American males that are being arrested for possession, that have records because of small possessions, but yet it's a very wealthy Caucasian men that transportation, cultivation. This law also that was passed by the governor of Illinois also has an expungement piece. Over 800,000 people's records are going to be expunged because of their prior use and possession of cannabis. So we're excited to not only offer an organic CBD product, and a product that has been extracted from hemp. You know, in 2018, President Trump signed a law that now allows hemp to no longer be a Schedule I drug. So it's no longer scheduled and bundled with cannabis. So on a federal level, hemp is legal in all 50 states. So we offer a product that is not only organic, but double certified, third-party validated, to be safe and effective for my patients, your family, and friends. So that is really exciting, because I, as an obstetrician gynecologist, had no idea that this plant had so many medicinal as well as industrial uses. We're going to see our homes being built with hempcrete. That's hemp and lime and water together, is known to be pest resistant, water resistant, energy efficient, more insulating than drywall and other products that we're using to build our homes.
So as an everyday patient, if my primary care physician or my doctor is not familiar with the benefits of hemp CBD, how can I tell them or get them, so I can at least try this product?
Yeah, so about 60 to 70% of physicians know nothing about CBD or even cannabis, yet 80 to 90% of our patients are using it. Now, the FDA is not regulating yet CBD. And we'll see CBD everywhere. You can find CBD at the gas station, at the beauty shop, at the smoke shop. But not all CBD is made equally. We're seeing now that there are a lot of companies that are marketing CBD products, but it's really hemp seed. Hemp seed contains no CBD. Hemp seed oil is rich in omega-3, 6, and 9, but doesn't contain CBD. So you're finding people that will tell you CBD doesn't work. So it's important to have a high quality, potent, effective CBD product like we have at Wakana that not only is double certified and third party tested for any heavy metals, any mold, any pesticides, but a product that contains the legal limit of THC. The legal limit of THC is 0.3%. And we're finding companies either have a product with no CBD or they'll have a product with 100% THC. That's a problem because then your patients, your family members may fail their urine drug screening if they have those at their place of their organization of where they work. So it's important to align yourself with a reputable company like we have at Wakana, a company that takes pride in researching the source. It's important to know what the source is because hemp is a bioaccumulator. And what that means is that if it's grown in soil that's not organic, it can start accumulating toxins that may be nearby. So making sure that the source is organic, making sure the source has license to grow hemp, making sure the source is compliant under the state agriculture department, making sure that the source is compliant with the 2018 Farm Bill, and making sure that the source is industrial hemp registered. All of these things are important to educate your patients, to educate consumers, because consumers really don't know what they're looking at in a product. It's important that the company is transparent like we are, having certificates of analysis that shows that every batch is tested for its potency and safety. So there's a lot of education that we do as a company. We have what we call focus groups twice a week in Chicago. We have focus groups that are done online. And our platform is really to educate our community about how this plant can be amazing as far as medicinal uses.
Okay. And another question, is there an age limit for CBD?
So we know that CBD really made its debut in 2013, 2014. Two things happened. One thing was that Dr. Sanjay Gupta made a declaration and he said we were systematically misled about this plant. The second thing that happened during that time was a little girl named Charlotte Fiji. Charlotte Fiji is a little girl that has Dravet syndrome. That's a syndrome very rare where children have between 300 to 500 seizures a week. The parents of Charlotte Fiji tried everything, but it wasn't until her parents introduced her to CBD, she went from having 300 seizures to 2 seizures a week. So that is where Charlotte's Web, the CBD oil, the name is based from the fact that this little girl had results from using this plant, the non-psychoactive part of the plant, to treat her seizure disorder.
Wow. So how can people find you and find your product online?
Absolutely. You can find our product by reaching me at my email, which is drritamac@yahoo.com. That's DRRITA, M as in Mary, A as in Apple, C as in Cat, at yahoo.com. My website to just buy product, order product, try our product is drrita.wakana.com. That's DRRITA.Wakana, that's WAKANA,
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
It's been informative. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.